Um, okay. Shout out to Keisha. Her content is great. But I was watching her video about like exposing Blake Lively, and, like one of the points was that Blake Reynolds, Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds got married on a slave plantation, and now this is supposed to be the like problematic thing that I don't know. Here's the thing, like I live in the South now, so I live in Tennessee, and like there are plantations. I think where I am right now, it wasn't a plantation, but it was owned by someone who probably owned a plantation. It's the civil rights movement. Like there's actually this park. It's called Bicentennial Park, and as you're walking through the park, there are these like tiles, and the tiles literally take you through the history of like how the laws that needed to be put in place in the South to give people rights. And right now we're having more conversations about people of color, right? The color people of color. But it was black people who didn't have rights. Okay. And like Blake Lively, and so then she goes on to explain how Blake Lively had this site that was about the antebellum South. Um the antebellum South and sort of the white plantation owner's wife and the femininity that is explored through that gaze and those images is so important because right now as we're getting cottage core, okay, as we are getting southern belle, as we are getting whatever the hell it is that Blake Lively is embodying right now, is like wife and mother. These are the images that everyone has been pushing to us for so long. As you see right now, like this is one thing that bothers me, and I've tried to like not talk about it, but I think it's a good time to call it out. If you notice the way that the media is changing the image of Kim Kardashian at this point, so it's no longer porn star, it's mother to black children. So now every single article that comes out is Kim Kardashian is a wonderful mother to her black children. Like they're just walking around. It's like she is supposed to be like this white superstar who is, trotting around now. And now she's going to soccer games with her black children. Oh, she's such a great mother. Like Kim Kardashian is now and forever will be, in my mind, a porn star and um, Kanye West's ex-wife and like an Armenian or Middle Eastern woman. In terms of identities and ways that I personally see Kim Kardashian, like ways that I will talk about her, identify her, like there is no way in hell I will ever see Kim Kardashian as like the mother of black children. She can be the mother of Armenian children who are living in America, fine. Okay, that's a thing. Kim Kardashian and blackness, they don't go together. They just have absolutely nothing to do with each other. And so, but look how that narrative is changed. And now we also have like Sky Jackson, right? The little 90-pound black girl. Now the headlines are Sky Jackson, little black girl commits domestic violence. Why? Because here in the South, it's all about like images, headlines. Y'all remember how Drake had the song Headlines? Headlines. He was making a fucking point. Nobody reads the articles. It's like me and you who are sitting here like making sense about things that are happening, but everyone else is just reading the headlines and they're like, "Oh yeah, those blacks are at it again." Look, you'll make sense out of something that legitimately doesn't make sense. Like here's another thing I see. Vogue keeps writing these articles about Jennifer Lopez like we're supposed to give a shit about what she's doing. Did y'all not see how Beyonce like ate the Olympics commercial? I mean, she ate that shit like it was lunch. That was insane. I have never seen anything quite like that. And actually, I think I'm going to write like a whole, we'll do it. I'll record it in a few minutes. Just like a think piece about how iconic like Beyonce's Olympics just infomercial commercial was. Like Beyonce is eating the year. If anyone should have gotten the September cover of Vogue, yes, it was Beyonce. She's having a hell of a year. We've got Cowboy Carter. that Olympics commercial. There was also how she fucking broke the internet at the Grammys announcing the album or something, whatever that release was. With the whole thing was insane, and we're supposed to give a shit about what Jennifer Lopez is. This is what I mean about like representation, where people think that in America, see, like this is America, right? Like the USA. Why do I care about what's happening in Latin America and the Hispanic community? I'm being serious right now. As a person who's like living in the South, why do I give a shit about what Bad Bunny is doing? Also, if you're in Britain, this is why I made that story about what's happening in Britain. Like Keisha is in Britain. I think she's in London. Madeline RG is also in London. Central C is in London. There are people in London who have their own shit going on. So why do y'all have Kylie Jenner on the cover of British Vogue? She isn't British. She doesn't live in Britain. Harry Styles and what's his ex girlfriend have some shit going on, and there's bigger news. Like Harry Styles was in Five Guys yesterday. Even I know this because I keep up with like British pop culture. At no point was Kylie Jenner a part of British pop culture. Like y'all are full of shit. Their media is like insane. Like who is writing these headlines? Your team sucks. You suck. Like you're really bad. Like you're really really bad. You're not doing a good job. It's like nuts. See, living in the real world is important. Also, understanding what these fucking headlines are trying to say is important as well. Like we need to please. I hope that everything with the Blake Lively stuff just keep going. Like keep pushing her out as this like damsel. I think that Blake Lively is very pretty. I really like Gossip Girl as a show because I like the characters that were introduced and their places in society. I think that those places are real. I think that those characters and those positions in society are real, and even though that is just a television show, I think that there are people who are like I consistently feel like I live the experience of Jenny in Gossip Girl, that character, or Dan Humphrey, right? Like who is Gossip Girl. But the point is like Blake Lively's character of Serena being very privileged, being very pretty, having access to so much is a real character in society. I think that, Lori Harvey might be a good person to, play a Serena in the real world, or you could maybe look at. I don't think that Rihanna's upbringing would be like a good example now. We need kind of new characters to have that story, but maybe like where Rihanna is now could be more of a Serena character or like a Blair or something. There's people who could occupy those spaces. I'm saying if you're trying to tell the story, right? Anyway, and what I'm for you as an observer, as a consumer of the media, you also get to choose which character that you want to be. Obviously nobody's going to believe that you're Serena if you have no money, if you're not like living in the Ritz Carlton or like the Four Seasons or something. Nobody's going to believe that you're these characters because there's like status symbols that come with that. You can't just like say I am this and there's like no evidence. Like you have to be a part of the society and then you can play a role of the character. But the Southern Belle is a real character and it does have a lot to do with slavery. And so when people are trying to understand how to consume Black women, like I am like a modern city middle income Black person. Nobody in the South knows what to do with that. They have never seen that in their life. They don't have Palo Alto. Okay. They don't have Silicon Valley. They don't understand globalism. They understand like Southern American aesthetics. The Blake Lively situation makes sense. I'm forgetting the little girl's name who I was just talking about. The little Black girl with the domestic violence, whatever. Sky Jackson, her story makes sense. See, it aligns with narratives that they're already familiar with, so they don't need any new information here. We don't need to like have any more context clues. Like we get it. Like, oh yes, all of the Black people have been like this for the longest, and so that's why they're continuing to behave like this. And this makes sense. Yet all the while we have been here telling our own stories. They are not listening to us, and we are not listening to them. There won't be any crossover. But what we can say is we can talk about the hypocrisy of it all, right? Because yes, so I mean, I don't know. Blake Lively doesn't seem woke at all. What I do know is that no matter what she's doing now, she seems to be attached at the hip to her husband. She's ballerina farming her femininity, which I think that is a positive thing. I think that little white girls who want to go be ballerina farm should be able to be that. But I also believe that little black girls who want to be Olivia's and Gossip Girls in the future can be fucking me. So we can sit and live in the same society. Now, here is where the bigger problem comes in because I'm starting to see like black men sort of like hop on the bandwagon. This channel is, it's not anti-black men, but it definitely doesn't support any of them. Like, our narrative has absolutely nothing to do with sort of like the positive representation of them. And I want to be so clear about that, and that's a very important like kind of segment, right? Because I will say the one thing I've seen in the South so far is the misogyny transfers. And they just have this belief of like women as though we are all similar. Like, sometimes our narrative has nothing to do with them. It's kind of like how people are coming for Tracy Ellis Ross for existing and just being like hot and old. And it's like, just let her be that. Or Tia Mari for being divorced. Like, let these women live without you. They get to exist without you. All black women, I hope a lot of black women choose to abstain from motherhood. We need black people in Africa to have the new babies, and we need black people, especially black women in America, to have the experiences. We need positive experiences coming from black alive women right now who can tell you like how to do things, who can show you how to do things, who can show you how to navigate society. We need like Black Dora the Explorers, okay, with like video cameras and podcasts who can talk about their personal experiences with racism, like what it looks like to experience racism from a Latin American person, what it looks like to experience racism from an Indian person. We can give you all of these firsthand experiences. So as we all navigate, well, not all of us, but as the ones of us who do choose to navigate back to Africa, we can take this information and do with it what we will. Like, that is my goal. My goal here is to like gather as much information as I can, right? Like, tell you about all of the experiences that I've had. And I wish more were more positive because here's the thing, like, unfortunately, Kim Kardashian and the clan, who are with their like black children or whatever, are kind of leaving their families in a world of I don't know. The black community has been fucking destroyed in America. There's no one left. And there's no opportunities for growth. All of the opportunities are circling the drain. The opportunities are for telling stories of failure. Like, the stories that Black Americans are able to tell right now are of Travis Scott being arrested at a hotel. That's the new story for Black men. Black women can actually now tell a story about how Drake made a song that was supposed to, you know, make a laughing mockery out of Meg the Stallion. And then we got three rappers who also told that story. And even with that, she was able to triumph and sell out Madison Square Garden three times, take two other artists on tour with her, and now has like I think how many she got like the most streams out of a female artist in the first week of release to whatever that Moshi Mushi video is or whatever. So think about that, right? Like, and that story has absolutely nothing to do with them. And I love this. I love this for us because like we have created this space that is completely separate from them. So Blake Lively can and the ballerina farmers can have their story over there. More praise to them, right? Travis Scott and his arrested gang of losers can have their story over there, and we can be here. See this like perfectly carved out, untrodden lane that we have built for ourselves that has nothing to do with either side. I love it here for us. I love it here for us. And let's just soak that in for a while. Let's just soak that in because it unfortunately like, I just don't feel like it's calling her out. That's the point that I guess I was trying to make here. The Southern Belle sort of I don't even feel like it's anti-black. It's more like pro-American, like the pro-American necessity for the slavery of black Americans is a critical part of the history in this country. People hate talking about it, they hate admitting it, they hate all of the things that have to do with it, but that's the reality. If there was no black American slavery, there wouldn't be a plantation, right? Like, I've told this story before, but like an older friend of mine, we're not friends anymore, but when I was friends with a girl who went to Princeton, and she's a black girl. She told me about her experience at Princeton and how there is a culture. So this is not like one person. This is like a cultural thing that like has been going on for a couple of generations where the the older southern plantation owners, so these are white families, sent their children to Princeton. And so there are like clubs. I don't know what the fraternities are called specifically, but some of the fraternities at Princeton are just full of the children of plantation slave owners. And they have all of these jokes around, how their families made the money, how they're using the money, like how they're able to pay for it, all of the culture that has come with owning slaves. And then the weird part about this is like if you didn't go to the Princeton, if you didn't go to Princeton or you don't know other people who went to Princeton, you wouldn't know this story. But I'm telling you now, as someone who knew someone who went and had to soak in this shit for yourself. But imagine being, the descendant of someone who was enslaved, like a black slave, and then also realizing, wow, yeah, my family, we were the ones who picked the cotton. Like that plantation that Blake Lively got married on, like my mother's grandmother was strapped up to a wall there and she was beaten. And that's the story. And everyone just brushes over it and they're like, "Oh, it's fine. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. It wasn't me." Okay, then who was it? Right? Like we know who it was. It's the families of the people who are using the money right now to go to Princeton and go to probably Stanford, all of the other Ivy Leagues, right? To now translate their like slavery earned income to educational assets, businesses, internships, music companies, media mogul companies. However, you're able to use a dollar, they've used the money that they got from slavery to do it. And it's just hilarious because people will continue to be like, nobody deserves reparations. Like, we don't believe in reparations. Oh, so you don't believe in reparations, but you are totally acceptable that there are other people who are just spend galore on like the money that they got from having slaves. It's fun that they got from having slaves. Well, it's not really hypocrisy, right? I think that everyone is kind of standing 10 toes down with what happened. I don't think that anyone is sorry about what happened. I don't think that anyone wishes to change anything from the past. What I believe is that there's a way to use that information. Just know that that is where we are and make some decisions about that shit for yourself. That's all I'm saying. Decide for yourself how you need to move forward. Now, the thing also I want to say to black women specifically, who I hope I've gotten more who are watching this shit, but like the same way that black men were not able to protect black women during slavery, nothing too much has changed. I don't think there has been new incentives for most black men to protect any black women at all. And so they also don't, they have no interest in the safety or, flourishing, will you say, of black women the same way that black women have an interest in watching the flourishing of black women. So I do want to say that.